And if a couple goes through such a cycle several times, this is really a roller coaster for them. A roller coaster that is filled with frustration, with fear. They start to detach from their body. They also have, of course, anxiety. They feel jealous of their friends that are all seemingly getting so easily pregnant. They have huge disappointment. They are super angry, but they can't pinpoint to whom really. IVF, as it often seems to many of our couples that come to see us, it's like, you have tried it naturally. Everything seems to be fine, but now, we are sick and tired to wait, and we take the shortcut. So they think that they are taking a shortcut with IVF, and I will show you in a minute that IVF is not at all a shortcut. It can be a shortcut, yes, for many couples, but it can also be a longer journey for many other couples. So under this umbrella of IVF, if there are things that have been unspoken of, getting work-life balance right, or getting your stress levels right, or having already like a shattered communication or a relationship that is like a bit of rocky and not so stable, this can actually lead into IVF really provocating these emotions to come up even stronger, because IVF can be so stressful that if certain things, certain emotions, or a mental mindset, or the emotional health has not been stabilized before going into IVF, it can really bump into their face. It really provokes a lot here. So that's why I often say, like, let's do like a checkout, because under the umbrella of IVF, there is so much more. And it seems like easy sailing, and that's what we want for couples. Of course, we want for them to have a smooth sailing during an IVF program, because we know how much of a roller coaster it can become. And it's not always a straight line. So just to get everyone on the same spot, a little repetition maybe for some of you as well here. So this is like what I was referring to, these question marks. Like, it's always the question, how does a couple enter into an IVF? Are they in sync? Is this a strong team already? Is it like rock solid, or is it kind of like shaky? Ideally, we usually see these couples at the beginning before they even start an IVF, just to do like a check-in counseling session with them and to recalibrate and strengthen certain characteristics and traits and resilience that actually helps them to go through as a magic team. So here you see like the timeline of an IVF, and then just chopped it into the different phases so that we all get a good understanding. Usually the IVF starts with day 2 of their menses. This is when they start with the first hormonal injection into their tummy. And then it's subsequently, it's 10 to 12 days of daily hormonal injections. Always at the same time. It's very important. We usually advise them to do it in the morning so that they don't have to think about it anymore for the rest of their day. In private clinics, they would be called in several times during the 10 to 12 days to monitor, adjust the hormones, and make sure that everything is easy peasy. For public hospitals, usually they are not being called in. They are given the hormones at day 2 or day 1, and then they let them do it and only see them back for retrieval. So egg retrieval is usually done early morning, so that the sperm sample will be produced early morning as well. And then fertilization happens in the lab in the afternoon, and it's considered day 0. And then the embryos will be formed, and they will be monitored on day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Many clinics actually freeze them on day 3 here, simply for the fact that there are more embryos than on day 5, more to freeze. And after that, many clinics are now embracing to give them a break of a 1 month period time here, to give them a really good break, because otherwise the woman's body is actually taking an overlap of different set of hormones. Here we are looking at follicle stimulating hormones until egg retrieval, and just 1-2 days before egg retrieval all the way to embryo transfer, they will be given progesterone, which helps to build the uterus lining. So it's a bit of a lot of artificial hormones, and many women do respond with a lot of side effects, headache, migraine. They are going through a lot of like feeling really sore in their body. They are feeling a lot of water in their body. Some gain weight. 2 weeks ago, I had a client who actually gained 12 kilos through hormones injections. So imagine going from, you're 55 to all of a sudden 67 kg of your own weight. You just don't feel good about yourself. And if you have to enter into a pregnancy in that state, we just feel it's not giving justice. So that's why whenever I can, I would advocate a lot, repeatedly with doctors as well as with my clients, to really take advantage of taking a break here, to recalibrate and balance out their body again, giving their body a break to reinstill health and, just build up again the good elements and good energy in the body. Then they come in for embryo transfer, followed by the 2 weeks of waiting time, where they would be called into the lab, do a blood test in the morning to see whether they have a successful BHCG hormone that is detected, and then telling them whether they are pregnant or not. So what can go wrong here? Just not going into super detail, but just so that you know, why isn't it a straight line? And why is it that some of your clients may tell you, even though we decided to do an IVF, it took us 2 years to get pregnant? Because if you started an IVF, you could technically, in an ideal world, become pregnant in 2 months. That's the shortest. But very often, this is not reality. Only about 15% of the clients that are going into IVF, 15%, are looking at those 2 months really. And the rest of it is looking at a longer journey. And that longer journey can last between 3 months all the way. The longest I had from my clients was 12 years. 12 years of going through IVF cycle after cycle after cycle. So just imagine and let that number sink in for a moment. 12 years of hope, of resistance, of determination, picking up your sticks again and again and again. I'm not even talking about financials. In Singapore, an IVF can be as cheap as 6,000 with a public hospital because you get subsidies, and it can be as expensive as your 25 to 30,000 Singapore dollars, and that's one cycle, which includes one egg retrieval. One egg retrieval. One embryo transfer in Singapore is 4,500 Singapore dollars and includes the doctor, operating theater, and the embryologist. So even if you have put down 30,000 and got to here, and then you happen to have 6 embryos, and you are being advised to go in each time and transfer 1 embryo at a time, each time you pay $4,500 each time. So I had clients where the baby accumulated cost of a baby was about like 600,000 Singapore dollars to get pregnant and to get that baby. So I think I don't have to tell you whether this woman opted for a C-section or not. Of course she did. And you can also imagine in which kind of state she went into this whole motherhood thing, because now she has this baby and it needs to be perfect, because this baby cost her more than $500,000. So this is all related, so this is like just giving you a bit of a big picture. So not only here, they think that they can go in, but then they have to do this one scan, and then they find out, oh, actually, you don't have any follicles growing this month. There is just one follicle I can see. I would not recommend to go with an IVF cycle this month, because the likelihood that we have to abort this cycle is very, very high, and it's not worth it. So let's wait for another month. So this is number one. Number two is they have started with their cycle. They have started with hormones injections. On day 5, they go in, and there is only one follicle, but it's not really responding, and it has not the growth that everyone would expect. So another bummer and another disappointment, because the doctor would advise to let go and stop immediately with hormones injections. Then they reached the state of egg retrieval. They were seeing 12 follicles, but only 4 of them fertilized because the rest of it was immature. Very realistic scenario for those experiencing PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, because the follicles are usually not responding if you have an ovary that is full of cysts and preventing your follicles to grow how they should. So the follicles are not mature, the eggs cannot be fertilized, and you end up not having a single embryo after all what you have put in here. Another bummer. There is no follicles, no embryos. Then you go in for your embryo transfer, which just happened to my client last week. She was so ready for it, so happy, went in, but guess what? The uterus lining was not responding to the progesterone she was taking and was not thick enough. So she couldn't go in for an embryo transfer, and the whole embryo transfer got aborted. Now she has to wait another month. And now we are talking about the possibility and the realistic situation of implantation, yes or no. And again, we are down to 15% for those that get pregnant or not. So I know that you see a lot of numbers over there, but it can be quite texting. And so I'm just putting all of this. So these are the emotional hotspots that our clients can really experience in all of this. And if a couple goes through such a cycle several times, this is really a roller coaster for them. A roller coaster that is filled with frustration, with fear. They start to detach from their body. They also have, of course, anxiety. They feel jealous of their friends that are all seamlessly getting so easily pregnant. They have huge disappointment. They are super angry, but they can't pinpoint to whom really. And there is a bit of this hopelessness as well that plays quickly into the role as well. So the potential triggers is just the whole list that I ran through, right? Everything that comes in that feels like the hypothalamus detects as fear or being out of control, losing control. It can also be a previous depression that they once had during teenagehood, or 10 years ago depression, or childhood. It can be the previous birth trauma, just feeling alone, not feeling supported. They have this huge lack of trust in their own body. Just all of these issues can become that iceberg that you don't see when you meet up with these clients first place. It's just when you start to unfold it like an onion that maybe some of these start to detect.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Fertility Counselor podcast. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. If you need support or have any questions, reach out to us via email at inquiries@counselingconnect.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Fertility Connects. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to learn more about us and the services we offer, head to www.fertilityconnects.com. And if you're looking for support beyond fertility, visit www.counselingconnects.com. Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.